Hello Astrofam, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rux, I'm a Western tropical astrologer, and today we're going to be talking about the new moon coming up on the 21st of March in Aries at 0 degrees of Aries. 0 degrees, 49 minutes to be precise. The new moon is going to be taking place at 5:22 p.m. GMT time, so you can adjust that for your own time zone. You are likely to feel, however, the influence of the new moon also in the 3 days before and the 3 days after. Now, the new moon is symbolic of a new chapter, of a new beginning. And obviously in life, we go through new beginnings all the time. If you're expecting, however, to see results, you're not likely to see results at the time of a new moon. You're much more likely to see results, to see outcomes, to see how previous efforts have flourished at the time of the full moon. That's when we see things peaking and culminating. So we are likely to see some results of what we have commenced around the time of this new moon 6 months later. So in autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, who is likely to feel this new moon the most? Well, certainly people who have planets or angles in the natal chart around 0 degrees of cardinal signs. And of course, the cardinal signs are Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer. Now, if you have planets in your natal chart or angles such as the ascendant or the midheaven around 0 degrees of Gemini, Leo, Sagittarius, or Aquarius, you're likely to really enjoy this new moon. It may feel like things are moving very easily, very smoothly, quite without you having to put a lot of effort in a direction that you're happy to take your life into. Now, please, folks, do keep in mind one big thing. We're going to, of course, discuss about the update for each of the 12 zodiac signs today, but if you would like to get the most accurate and granular type of forecast for your unique birth chart, so for what your natal chart looks like, for what the sky looked like at the time when you were born astrologically, you're not going to get that from a general forecast such as this. These are obviously very helpful, and you've heard me say this in the past. Please listen to the update for your rising sign if you do know your rising sign. But remember that general forecasts are general. When you work with an astrologer, so in the way that I work with clients, when we do forecasting for the year ahead, we take into account the entire natal chart, all the planets, all the angles, all the significant points in the natal chart. So if you would like to get very kind of like specific forecasts based on what your personal natal chart looks like, you can reach out to me. I work with clients one-to-one. That is the bulk of my work. You can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com, and you can go to the services section. If you are a first-time client, you can go straight to the 1-hour live Zoom consultation option. And in the 1-hour live Zoom consultation option, we can look at the year ahead, we can examine and assess themes, energies that you're likely to deal with, opportunities, challenges, how to make the most of them, how to be best prepared, how to capitalize upon the cosmic energies. We can also, if you have not had your natal chart analyzed before by an astrologer, we can also analyze your natal chart. We can look into the natal chart, obviously time allowing. The 1-hour live Zoom consultation, personal consultation with me is completely customizable to your needs. So we can look at the year ahead, we can look at specific areas of interest such as relationships, career, finances, and so on. We can look into compatibility or astrological relocation. We can look into your astrocartography to see where in the world or what sort of like places in the world activate your natal chart in a certain direction. I'm sure you must have all experienced going to places and really feeling very comfortable in some of them and really feeling a little bit more kind of like on edge or different in other places around the world. So writteninthestars-astrology.com is where you can find me. If you are an existing client, once again, you can find me on my website. There are two additional options for you to use, which is one of them is the 30 minutes follow-up consultation. If you've got very kind of like specific questions that you would like us to address about certain topics that we have discussed in the past, or if you would like us to look more granularly at a certain month or at certain days, we can do that. Or if you are looking to prepare as best as you can possibly can for the year ahead, there's also the year ahead forecast consultation option. Again, that is for existing clients only. If you are a new client, you can certainly benefit from us looking together into what the year ahead is likely to bring into your life, but you will have to go for the 1 hour live Zoom consultation option first, because that is for first time clients. Now let's go back to the new moon in Aries. What's going on in the sky? So the sun and the moon are joined together. We've got a conjunction. It's the beginning of Aries season. It's this new moon is happening right after the spring equinox. The interesting thing is that we're going to have two new moons in Aries this year. One is happening in March and one is happening in April. And the one happening in April is an eclipse. So eclipse season begins again. We have two eclipse seasons every year. The spring in the Northern Hemisphere eclipse season begins in April. So we're going to get a little bit of a taster of what some of the most significant themes that we are likely to deal with. Not just this month, but also next month. We're going to get a taster at the time of this new moon. 21st of March, the sun and the moon are joined together. Mars, which is the dispositor of the new moon, because Mars rules Aries. Mars is going to be in Gemini still, and we can expect a lot of news collectively around topics connected with, I have to say it, with war, with military operations, very, very possibly, because we are talking about Aries after all, and they don't have to be bad news, but it is something that is probably going to be very widely discussed at the time of this new moon. There's also likely to be news around transportation, very, very possibly coming up, since Mars is going to be in Gemini, and maybe, again, I'm thinking at a collective level, maybe news around new rules, new regulations connected with transportation. We're feeling collectively very mentally prepared to kick off a new chapter in our life. Of course, everyone's going to kick off something in different sectors of their life, depending on where the new moon falls in your chart. The thing is, we've been experiencing this Mars and Gemini energy since last year, since August, and Mars has been retrograde. It's been back and forth, squaring Neptune, especially in the second week of March. There's been a lot of frustration with Mars squaring planets in Pisces, not just Neptune, but also the Sun, also Mercury. So finally, Mars in Gemini is no longer forming any squares with the planets in Pisces. So we've got mental clarity. We understand the facts. We know what the numbers are, what the data says. It might finally feel like we're literally pulling our head from under the water, because that's what it might have felt like with Mars in Gemini, tensely aspecting planets in Pisces. Mars in Gemini is obviously a mutable energy. It can be quite scattered. It can be quite all over the place. It might have like a lot of like spinning plates that it's dealing with mentally. Finally, I'm very excited for this. Finally, it feels like we know what's next. We know, based on the data, based on the numbers, based on the facts, based on mental clarity, we know where to go to next. I don't want to say we know what's next, because Not even astrology is clairvoyance, folks. So astrology is only archetypally and symbolically predictive. It describes energies, it describes themes, but it doesn't predict exact concrete material manifestation. Because if it did, then it would be called clairvoyance. And also if it did, we probably had zero free will, which clearly that's not true. And we do have free will, and we have the ability to act or to react however we best see fit to whatever is happening in our life. Now, what I like about this new moon is that Mars and Mercury are going to be in mutual reception. So Mercury at the time is going to be in Aries and Mars is going to be in Gemini. So they are in each other's signs. They support each other. So there is a lot of mental sharpness that I'm seeing at the time of this new moon. And a lot of saying things as they are, a lot of bluntness, of directness, of really speaking our truth and really delivering the facts to others, even if we know that the facts might not be very well liked by everyone. Alas, the truth many times is or can be hurtful, especially after Pisces season and after so much like Mars in Gemini squaring the planets in Pisces energy, where it might have felt like we didn't know what was true and what was not true. There was a lot of mental confusion, lack of clarity, maybe also a little bit of lying to ourselves, which, let's face it, it happens to all of us. It happens to the best of us. Now it's like, no. This is the truth. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna defend myself. I'm going to assert myself using words. I'm going to utilize my words and my mind to fight for and to begin what I know is the course of action that is going to work for me. A lot of focus on individuality at the time of this new moon. A lot of focus on what you want as a separate individual, as a separate entity from others. Which again, selfishness has a bad rep. But if we are not clear on what we want for ourselves, and if we don't know what is important to us individually, how can we ever be of service to others? It's like we're confused, right? So we first have to know where we stand, what matters to us, what's important to us, to speak that out, to take action in that direction, and then we can also serve the collective. At least that's how I see it. Take it or leave it. That's my philosophy. What I'm also liking at the time of this new moon, so I'm quite excited. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of things moving forward. There's a lot of action, a lot of like conversations. There can be some very kind of like sometimes blunt, I don't want to say conflictual interactions from a communicational standpoint, from a communicational perspective, but I feel like they're necessary after this cosmic fog that we're getting out of. I'd say. I like that Mars is applying to a trine to Saturn and Pisces, and this is going to this harmonious aspect is going to be exact a little bit later in the month on the 30th of March. So really there is a sense of a little bit later after the new moon, knowing how we can align our action and our wants and our desires with what works for the long run, and also with what works for the long run for the collective, for others. Because let's not forget, Saturn and Pisces is going to make it really important for us. It's going to turn it into our collective duty to look after those who are disenfranchised and disempowered and who are suffering in some shape or form. I'm also I like a lot of stuff about this new moon, minus any news about war, conflicts, and military operations. I mean, in this century, I suppose no one, and maybe that's like a sweeping generalization, but I suppose most people would have thought that we were over this, but I'm not going to go there. So what I like about this new moon is also that it is forming a sextile, even though it's not exact, it's forming a sextile with Pluto. So we are ready for transformation. We are ready to get out of the shadows and really start doing things. really start moving forward. Now, let us dive into the update for each of the 12 zodiac signs. And please remember, folks, listen to the update for your rising sign. That is the closest thing that you can get to a personal astrological consultation, which again is something that you get from an astrologer. It's something that I do for my clients. That is how I work with clients. And by the way, if that is something that you are interested in booking, I'm currently taking bookings for the second week of May. I am fully booked until the second week of May. My lovely Aries, Aries suns and Aries risings. Of course, we're going to start with you. The new moon is putting the spotlight on you. This is happening in your first house of new beginnings and the self and your physical body and your identity, especially for Aries risings. You are getting a new lease of life, I want to say. It feels like your energy levels are going up. It feels like you are ready for action. You might embark upon a new journey of self-growth, self-development, and self-discovery. I'd say you're very likely to feel like you're learning new things about yourself, or you may feel inspired to learn new things about yourself and about what you want at the time of this new moon, since Mars is going to be in your third house. I want to say that you may feel inspired to start learning things about yourself around this time, Aries, that have been a source of self-sabotage. Also, you may start learning things about yourself that help you release the structures in your life that are no longer helping you or serving you. It feels like you may also have some significant conversations around this time behind the scenes that are connected with your career in some shape or form. And even though it's just kind of like something in the incipient stages, because remember, new moon, new beginning, it's just the beginning of things. It is not the culminating point by any means. You are just kind of like starting off on a new path. If you're having discussions about your career, they are probably happening in this sort of like behind the scenes type of setup. You may not necessarily reveal them yet to the outside world, although you may feel very excited and energized about the conversations that are taking place. It also feels like you are ready to start taking action to overcome something that was holding you back, that was blocking you. Probably something of a psychological nature. I'm thinking of a fear. You're ready to start taking action courageously, to move forward from something that was blocking you in pursuing what you really want to build career-wise for the future, my dear Aries. I like it. I like this. I like this new moon. Taurus suns and Taurus risings. This new moon is happening in your 12th house. I want to say that it is the perfect time to take action that allows you in the future to rest more, to unwind, to take time off, to also do inner work. You may feel inspired around the time of this new moon to start digging into, to start reading, to start learning, to start maybe investing some of your money and resources into something of a spiritual nature and something that can broaden your horizons, something that can put your life into a new perspective, I'd say. It also feels like there's things happening behind the scenes that are probably going to have a positive impact upon your finances. I mean, you could be releasing, you could start work on releasing, even though it's just the beginning, I repeat, you could start doing work around releasing fears connected with money and security. You may have a little bit of an aha moment and start taking action and digging into this around the patterns of self-sabotage that were holding you back from achieving a state of security and stability financially, but also a state of stability and security mentally, because it all starts in the mind. Let us not forget, I'd say. It also feels like the new moon in Aries is putting the spotlight upon your shadow side. So upon the parts of you that you have been blocking, repressing, denying, or maybe not identifying with, even though they are an important part of who you are. The topic of denying your own selfishness comes to mind. And I'm using selfishness not in a negative sense in any shape or form. You've got to remember that English is not my first language, so sometimes I might struggle a little bit with finding synonyms. But I'm using selfishness in the best of ways. So really kind of like realizing that you haven't been prioritizing your own wants and desires, and that can turn into one of the most significant elements of self-sabotage. Gemini suns and Gemini risings. This new moon is happening in your 11th house of groups of people, of friends, of collaborators, and it's forming a harmonious aspect to Pluto. Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house. Mars is also applying to a nice aspect to Saturn in your 10th house of career. I'm liking it. I feel like this could be a time when you're joining a new community, when you're joining a new group of people, maybe a professional organization, an organization of people that can help you advance your long-term career goals and plans. You could start off your own community. I wouldn't be surprised if something like this happened. You could feel inspired and say, you know what, I'm going to bring people together, and I'm going to bring them together to talk about topics connected with career, topics connected with investments, topics that have something to do with taxes and kind of like paying obviously back the state or something. Some sort of like a state institution. It also feels like you have a lot of clarity as to what your next set of goals are, my lovely Geminis. Goals both connected with your career as well as with the area of shared assets and shared resources. So assets that you've got in common with a partner. It could be your life partner or it could be your business partner. News coming to you from friends, very possibly you may hear that a friend has started to take action to overcome some sort of crisis in their life. It can be quite a social time, dear Geminis. I'm also liking the fact that this is the day, the 21st of March, when Venus will conjunct the North Node in your 12th house. Venus is the ruler of your 5th house. I feel like this could be a time, my dear Geminis, when you also recognize, you also have a bit of an aha moment, a bit of an epiphany as to how you may have been sabotaging your romantic life. And you could decide to start taking action differently based off of this aha moment that you've got. My dear Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings, my Cancerian brothers and sisters, because I am a Cancer rising myself. 21st of March, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new moon happening in your 10th house of career. Very nicely aspected to Pluto in the 7th house of relationships. And Venus will conjunct the North Node in your 11th house. I love this, Cancerians. It feels like there's probably going to be some sort of a, I want to say, unexpected partnership that is gonna start taking shape and form career-wise. You could receive an unexpected offer career-wise. You might also have some sort of an announcement to make to the outside world about the new direction that you are taking in your career, in your professional life. Some folks generally write to me and say, what if we are not employed? What if we are retired? This could be a time when you decide to take action towards contributing to society in a new way, in a different way. It could also be a time when you really feel like your reputation is in the spotlight, like people are really kind of like interested in your reputation and your position out into the world. And this could also have something to do with the developments that have been happening maybe a little bit behind the scenes in your relationship sector. You could also make an announcement around giving up on something career-wise and going in a new direction that you seem to feel very confident about, my dear Cancerians. You could also have some sort of like fated meeting, fated encounter around this time, Cancerians, with people who are in your kind of like peer group community, or people who are interested in the same long-term goals that you are interested in, people who believe in the same things that maybe you believe in, people that work in the same industry that you work in, or people who can have a positive impact upon your long-term goals and plans for the future. I would strongly recommend that you be social and socially active around this time, because we have a saying in my natal Romania, you don't know where the rabbit's going to jump out of. So it's like you don't know who you're going to bump into, who you're going to meet, who you're going to connect with, and they are likely to have a positive, beneficial, auspicious effect upon some of your goals and plans for the future. So I'm excited. Now, if you are a Leo sun or a Leo rising, new beginning, 21st of March, in your 9th house. I feel like this could be the time, Leos, when you either start making plans for the future connected with your studies and your academic life. You could start working on your thesis. You could start applying to academic programs, and you seem to feel very confident about the direction that you're headed into. I'm also liking that you seem to have overcome quite a bit of doubt and fear and a feeling of not being prepared enough when it comes to this new path, maybe academically. This could also be the time when you start learning something that is going to broaden your horizons and that is going to give you that sort of like push. But remember, this is just the beginning. It's a new moon. So you're not seeing results yet. You're just starting something off. You could be seeing around this time in you a pull, an urge to learn something that will expand your worldview and that helps you go bravely and courageously towards your plans for the future. This could also be a time when you receive some sort of like help from friends from abroad to start something new in your life. You could be in touch, you could be in contact with friends from abroad. You could also start making plans to travel, to see friends abroad, or you could start planning a trip in some shape or form. I'm also liking the conjunction between Venus and the North Node in your 10th house at the time of this new moon. Why is that? Because this could be a time when you feel like fate or destiny is putting someone on your path, is bringing some sort of like external help in your path that allows you to move forward in the direction of long-term stability career-wise. You could form a very important partnership career-wise around this time, or feel inspired to reach out to someone, or they could reach out to you. I would really, really consider this opportunity for partnering, my dear Leos. Virgos, Virgo suns, and Virgo risings. What does this new moon have in store for you? Well, it's happening in your 8th house, so I wouldn't be surprised if around this time you started taking some sort of a new approach to taxes, investments, debts, maybe. You could feel ready to take action to tackle your debt. You could feel ready to make a new plan to tackle the area of investments or maybe even pension. I like the fact that it feels like you're receiving help from whatever's going on in your career at the time of this new moon, my dear Virgos, to address the area of debt. If you have any sort of debt, it could be credit card debt. It doesn't have to be like big, like huge debt of any type. You could also get something like maybe like a new accountant around this time, or someone to help you with debts, taxes, investments, like a financial advisor of some sorts. I'm also liking the fact that this new moon is harmoniously aspecting Pluto in your 5th house. So on a personal level, Virgos, this could feel like the beginning of a new, exciting, exhilarating, adrenaline-filled chapter in your romantic life. And when I say in your romantic life, I'm also referring to your sex life. Yes. You could also start working on some of your fears around this time, and maybe fears that are connected with romance, with partnership, with relationships, or maybe with children if you have children. I like the 21st of March also because Venus will conjunct the North Node in your 9th house. What do I like about this? It feels like someone's coming into your life, or you could have like a meeting, an encounter with a person. It could be a woman that helps you see the big picture of your life in a new way, in a different way, in a more expansive way, in a way that that makes you feel confident about your life and about what the future holds. I wanna say there could also be like a very fated maybe event that takes place, or you might not necessarily immediately know that it's fated or that it's going to be significant. So that's kind of like the beauty of hindsight. Sometimes things happen, and in the moment we don't realize, oh, this matters, this is big. But further down the line, 6 months from now, a year from now, you might look back and say, oh, that was very important. So there could be some news or like a feeling of a fated development taking place, connected with legal matters, connected with laws that have a positive, auspicious impact upon your financial situation overall, I would say. Libras, Libra suns and Libra risings. What can you expect from this new moon? A new beginning. Where? Relationship-wise. Not just romantic relationships are in the spotlight, but also business partnerships. Why not? Why not? Why not? Or relationships and connections with those who are acting as a consultant in your life in some shape or form. You are likely to begin some sort of a new connection, new relationship around this time. It can be, for those of you who are open to romance, and if you're single, it can be something of a romantic nature. You could meet someone, even if you don't immediately see or notice that there is like a spark between the two of you. I want to say that it can have the potential to turn into something. But you could also start the collaboration with a mentor, a guide, a teacher, an advisor, a therapist. That's also very, very possible, especially since Mars, the ruler of this new moon, is harmoniously aspecting Saturn in your 6th house of health and day-to-day work. So you could start working with someone that helps you achieve a better kind of like state of general health, wellness, and well-being, not just physically. It could definitely be mentally or emotionally. I'm also liking that Venus will conjunct the North Node at the time, so on the 21st of March. It feels like someone from the outside is coming in and is bringing a new perspective, is helping you look at your fears and what has constituted a source of crisis up until this point in your life. They're maybe helping you look at this sector of your life and saying, this is how you need to address it, or this is what you have not been aware of, or this is what you have been avoiding. And this is kind of like what's holding you back from achieving a greater state of security and stability in your life. You could also receive some sort of gift around this time, my dear Libras, and it could be something quite substantial and valuable, monetarily speaking, I'd say. Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings, 21st of March, 3 days before, 3 days after. A new beginning, work-wise or health-wise. So you are either starting a new process, maybe applying for a new job, or literally starting a new job. Some of you might actually start a new job, especially Scorpio risings. Some of you may hear of an addition to your team. So on a day-to-day basis at work, there might be news of you having to work with someone new, someone that you haven't worked with in the past, maybe news around new processes that you need to implement on a day-to-day basis at work. They could have something to do with the financial aspect of your work, news connected with taxes, and maybe this is something that's going to have an impact upon how you provide services on a day-to-day basis. So these are also very likely at the time of this new moon. You might also start, I want to say, charging more for the services that you're offering, especially if you're working for yourself, my dear Scorpios. Venus will conjunct the North Node at the time of this new moon. Why do I like this? Well. I like this because it feels like someone's coming into your life, where there is a person in your life who can help you maybe address some of the issues that you are afraid to kind of like address on your own. So someone's offering their help. This could also be a day of fated encounters romantically for you, my dear Scorpios. Also, if you're in a relationship already, there could be a sense of significant, predestined almost developments taking place in the life of your partner. Now, if you are a Sagittarius sun or a Sagittarius rising, what can you expect from this new moon? Well, you're likely to like it. Can I just say this? This new moon brings in a new chapter creatively, or when it comes to fun, enjoyment, passions, hobbies. You may start pursuing a new passion, a new hobby. You may start putting more energy into your passions and hobbies around this time. You might make some sort of a commitment. This could also be the beginning of a new romantic chapter in your life. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with a new person. It could be with your partner if you are already in a partnership. You might make a commitment to start, I don't know, like having a date night every month or every week. It also feels like there's a sense of moving forward with something that was kind of like back and forth in the life of your children. And maybe it feels like you're finally on the same page with a partner in terms of how to move forward with this joint matter connected with children, if you do have children. Venus will conjunct the North Node in your 6th house at the time of this new moon. Significant encounters and meetings, and probably ones that will have a positive, auspicious impact for the long run, connected with your work also around the time of this new moon, maybe also the few days before, the few days after. It feels like there's an opportunity for you to start working with someone or to employ the services of someone in such a manner that it makes your work, your day-to-day work, more enjoyable. Some of you may also feel excited to start working together with someone else around this time on your health. So maybe you find like a gym buddy or something, or maybe you kind of like start some sort of a friendship with someone that you're going to the gym with. Now, if you are a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, my lovely Capricorns, what can you expect from this new moon? A new beginning, a new chapter at home in your family life. Now, you might be moving into a new home, or maybe there's a sense of work starting on the home front. So maybe renovations are beginning. Maybe you're starting to like move furniture around or fix stuff around the house. You could also start working with family members together on a joint project around this time. There is a chance that also a parent could be kicking off a new chapter in their life, especially connected with their health, and you feel, I want to say, relieved that they're finally taking action, that they're finally doing something to address maybe health related matters that have been plaguing them, I want to say, for at least the past six months. I'm also liking that this new moon is forming a harmonious aspect to Pluto. It feels like there's a sense of transformation in a very auspicious sense at home, my lovely Capricorns. Maybe in your relationship with your parents, maybe in terms of what you expect your home life to look like for the future. Some of you could also start looking for a new home, so you could start kind of like the process to find your perfect home. Venus will conjunct the North Node in Taurus at the time of this new moon, Capricorns. Enjoy this day, really enjoy this day, and really also be open to the love that is likely to pour into your life around this time, because there could be some really significant developments happening on the romantic front. There could also be a sense of being overjoyed and filled with love when it comes to the topic of children. So if you have children, or if you are looking to have children, I'd say. Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. This new moon, 21st of March, it's active 3 days before, 3 days after, is happening in your 3rd house of learning. What are you going to start learning, Aquarius? Well, it looks like you're going to start learning something that you're very passionate about, very, very possibly. So something that you're invested in as like a passion, as your hobby, something that you really enjoy talking about, studying, writing about. You could also start a new writing project around this time. So there it can be a sense of a new beginning connected with writing or speaking or communication. You seem to feel very passionate about what it is that you're kicking off on this front, and it can also be something that you have the possibility to monetize a little bit further down the line, maybe not immediately, but you can see how it could be monetized further down the line. It also feels like this is a time when you are experiencing an increase in courage when it comes to talking about what makes you happy, when it comes to speaking up and sharing what you want out of an interaction. I'm also liking the fact that this new moon is really nicely aspected to Pluto. It feels like something is kind of like changing in you in terms of your communication style. You may start communicating in a different way, in a new way, in a way that feels much more authentically aligned with what works for you in the long term. Some of you might start taking some sort of classes and courses, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of you would also look at maybe buying a new car or finding a new mode of transportation. Again, it feels a little bit bold. Maybe it feels like it's something that you have to overcome a fear for, but it's definitely something that seems to really kind of like energize you, I'd say. Venus will conjunct the North Node in your fourth house at the time. A lot of love, a lot of support you seem to be receiving around this time, Aquarius, from your family. And also there could be a sense of a fated development happening in terms of your home and living situation. So kind of like someone coming in and finding the right solution at the right time, almost like what's the word, serendipitously. Yeah, I think that's the word. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Pisces suns and Pisces risings. This new moon, what's going on? What is happening? What is it bringing? Well, it's bringing a new beginning, maybe a new attitude, a new decision, a new kind of like approach, a new way of taking action when it comes to your finances and your financial life. Some of you could be getting a raise. Some of you could be asking for a raise. Some of you could be raising your prices. Again, if you work for yourselves, it does feel like you need to take action in order to sort things out financially, but you seem to feel confident in the action that you're taking when it comes to finances, even though for the past maybe, I want to say almost like 6 months, it may have felt like you, or even more than that, it may have felt like you didn't necessarily have that sort of clarity as to how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. You seem to have spent, since August of last year, a lot of money on matters connected with home and family. The word that comes to mind is bleeding money. And I'm sure that some of the expenses were very, very necessary, but it's time to take action and say, okay, I'm cutting this out. I'm like sorting out my budget. I know like how much things cost now. So you've got maybe a lot more clarity in terms of where your budget is. I like the fact that the new moon is nicely aspected to Pluto. So it feels like you're doing a lot of like cleaning up, financially speaking. So maybe getting rid of subscriptions, maybe making like some new significant subscriptions that are important to you, maybe purchasing some important kind of like services, but also getting rid of stuff that you know is no longer going to serve you. You could also start directing some of the resources that you've got towards what you want the most. Not what others want from you, not what others expect of you, but it's like, no, this is something that I'm doing for me. I am spending my money and my resources for me. Venus will conjunct the North Node in Taurus in your third house. This can be also the time of the new moon can be a time of really feeling like you are receiving the support in the form of words, in the form of communication from people that value you in your life. There could also be, especially if you've got siblings, news of fated developments, very significant developments in the life of siblings. I'd say you could also feel like you have found the perfect maybe like product to buy. If you're looking to buy something that you've wanted for a long time, it could feel like you're like in the right place at the right time, or the right kind of like person or the right product finds you somehow. I'd say, my lovely Pisces. I hope that this update is useful for everyone listening. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video that the 21st of March is also a very, very significant day because Venus is coming together with the North Node in Taurus. So there may be a sense of important, significant, fated developments happening from an economic perspective, but also on an individual level, in terms of like values, in terms of what is worthy, what is important for you, in terms of your financial security and stability, but also in terms of romance. And that goes for everyone. This Venus North Node conjunction really activates some of the themes of growth and expansion and new direction that the North Node in Taurus has been bringing to our attention since the beginning of 2022, and it's going to continue to do that until roughly the middle of July of this year. What I can recommend at the time of this conjunction is embrace help and support from others, because it's likely, and embrace partnership and collaboration, because it's likely to increase the level of security, stability, and also enjoyment in your life. And folks, don't forget that if you want to work with me, you can find me on my website. My website is writteninthestars-astrology.com, and you can go to the services section if you would like to book a consultation with me. Also, you can now purchase from my website 2 recorded courses if you are a student of astrology. Not a beginner, not a complete beginner, because these are not courses for beginners. They're more for people who have a little bit of a foundational knowledge, foundational understanding of astrology. There is the Saturn transits masterclass available to purchase as a recording, and also the natal chart interpretation masterclass, which is, I dare say, a course that will help astrology students polish their interpretation skills, give them a framework to deliver coherent, cohesive, in-depth, and insightful interpretations and analyses of people's birth charts. So if you already have an understanding of signs, houses, planets, and you want to know how to bring it all together, what is the most important aspect of the chart, how to interpret aspects, how to find themes, how to synthesize everything, because astrology can feel sometimes daunting because it's so vast and there's like so many moving parts, so many moving pieces, and it can feel challenging to bring it all together. This natal chart interpretation masterclass, it's a 6-hour recorded masterclass. I dare say is probably going to be of tremendous help, of tremendous use. Also, you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is @ruxunbelievable in one word, and you're going to also get personal updates about my life if you're interested in my life on my Instagram. Happy spring in the northern hemisphere. Happy Aries season. Happy equinox. And let us know in the comments how you feel at the time of this new moon, what is going on, what's happening in your life. And don't forget that a keyword for this new moon is action and also initiative, because we're talking about Aries energy. Thank you. Bye.